2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Just doing my thing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the cast. We're running a little bit short today, but we brought in a couple guests. We have Colin with me today.
Yo.
And we have our special guest, only number one.
Hi, it's me, Juan.
And our great capo, Patrick Quinn.
Greetings.
And myself,
What does that make me?
The drunken monk. Well met, everybody. So, we're going to start off with the disappointing loss to LA. So, I'm going to let Quinn go off on that first, because he'll probably be the best rant.
You know, there's not really that much to say. I'm kind of like a traumatized person that's been broken as far as the team performance has been this year. So, I mean, it's pretty clear at this point that Cook is a caretaker. He doesn't really have a vision for this team going forward. So I think that's pretty compelling evidence that it's unlikely that he's going to be considered for the full-time gig after his little interim spell is up.
I agree with you. But I think, if you don't mind me taking over, I think the thing that's missing in this team now is a coach who actually fuels passion into the club. Would you guys agree that Pablo at least was a good motivator and pushed this team to be good, even if his tactics were shit?
Yeah, I
agree. He was a great motivator, but tactically just completely clueless about the game, except piling people on defense. But I think that also has something to do with, as I mentioned before, Cook doesn't really have a vision for this team, because usually what a compelling coach can do is he's got a vision for how he wants the team to play, and he gets the players to buy into that. But I think clearly there's a morale drop in the locker room because Pablo was so charismatic.
Well, not just that, but think how many straight losses this is now.
Fifth loss.
Yeah, there's no chance they're going to get into the playoffs now.
Is that confirmed?
I guess technically it could be possible if we literally win every single game.
So it is confirmed.
It's pretty much confirmed.
We need 10 points in this last 8 games in order to not have the worst season ever on a points per game average for the club.
And here's the thing. I don't think we're going to get them.
I don't think we are either. You look at that schedule, and it's pretty spooky reading.
It is going to be brutal coming up ahead.
The positive is there is no way to get any worse.
We'll find a way.
Even the most terrible teams can find a way to win a few games in a season. There's only up from here. I guess the only positive I saw in the game was we got to see Eigner, and I thought he actually looked decent.
I don't think he was prepared to do well, given the amount of time he had. He came on in the 70th minute, right? How else are you going to make an impact in just 20 minutes left? I kind of disagree with you on that. I mean, you kind of just looked average amongst the other people there. That's only because everyone else was already given up.
I actually thought his off-the-ball movement was actually pretty good. He positioned himself well. He definitely has an eye for the game. But, yeah, I think in the limited minutes and just being freshly integrated into the squad, it's really hard to tell, what his ability is overall.
And not only that, he was trying to do the give and go with different players, and the players just either backpassed or completely snubbed him and no-sold him. That's just how I felt with Eigner's performance, is that he was trying to light something up that the others weren't willing to light with him, if that makes any sense at all.
It's chemistry and a lack of coaching. I mean, that's really where that kind of thing stems from.
Now, chemistry you can kind of understand because, he's new to the team, and that's got to be a huge challenge for him to overcome, on top of the fact that we also have a new lineup or new formation rather that we're playing, I'm not entirely surprised at all to see Eigner he's probably gonna maybe not struggle, but he's probably gonna fail to produce results in the first couple of games we see him in.
That's standard for MLS in general, but that's even more standard for the Rapids.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to really judge his ability probably until next season when we actually see him under a new coach and under a fresh system.
So anything Eigner does is nulled. Who else do we have that mentality for of like no one can do wrong this season based on coach? Because if we're only giving Eigner that pass, it's strange to see if anyone else has that pass or not.
Yeah, but everybody else
Well, I
has
think
gotten to
generally,
play.
yeah, and generally speaking, for most of our veteran players, I mean, we kind of already have a good feel of whether they're worth bringing back next year or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like, I just feel that we've seen the other players. The only reason Eigner is getting any sort of pass is because he's come in. So this is a defeated team. This team has literally nothing left to fight for. They've been getting crushed left and right. So you could bring in Messi to this team, and it would he'd look terrible because the rest of the team is just worthless right now, and that has nothing to do with their talent. That's just the mentality of the locker room right now, and you can't really blame them at this point. Like you're 5 losses in, you're bottom of the table, like your coach is gone. There's like not a lot of positive rays of light to try and look forward to outside of just playing the game, and they keep giving up first half goals, and there's not that fight back mentality anymore because it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, it does definitely kind of smells of that 9 to 5 clock in clock out mentality the players have right now. They're just, I guess, thinking just get through the season and just see what happens in the off season because they just don't seem to be interested or engaged right now.
What about guys like Gat who are still trying to be in this, who keep trying to start, keep trying to fight while the rest of the team is just giving up already. If you see like whenever the other team scores, it's always heads down. Everyone's already given up and moving forward to the next game. Unlike people like Gat, maybe Einer, who are, still trying to play, if that makes any sense.
We don't field a team for 90 minutes anymore. We might play a couple of people. Like Marlon Harrison, I don't think I've ever seen him give up in a game. But the problem is, you've still got to play a full team of 11. And if someone gives up, you can't do anything about it.
And that, to me, is primarily on coaching. I mean, more than anything.
If we had a team with a mentality of Marlon Hairston, we wouldn't be sitting here at the bottom of the league. It's just, it wouldn't happen.
There's also probably a leadership problem in the locker room, too, as well. I mean, I can't really think of anybody that's really a standout leader in there except for maybe Kevin Doyle.
But then again, he plays this up at top as striker. It's going to be hard for him to be a leader in the midfield and the defense. That's why we had someone like, Jones, Jones, Cronin, who are in the midfield, who can actually command people, and people will listen to them mostly because well-established veterans. And the minute we lost Cronin, we've lost that veteranship.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we bring in someone with veteran experience, or do we ask one of the players that we have now to step up?
I think your problem now is that you don't have
Go ahead, Austin.
You don't have a positive person in the locker room. Like, there is different forms of leadership. And Howard is not that type of leadership. Howard is intense, yelling, screaming, passionate leadership, but he's probably not hyper positive. And in this type of a system right now where we're doing terrible, you need someone that can be positive in spite of that, and I don't think we have a player that does that, that's in leadership.
I feel like maybe Josh Gad's probably the most positive player. Maybe Dylan Cerna. Other than that, I kind of agree with your point. There's no one here that inspires positivity. And as Quinn said, that's up to the coach as well. It's a coaching problem.
I'm not a fan of having Howard as our captain right now. I think he's, as you said, he just screams at the defense and tells them do this better. But getting yelled at is just, you kick them when you're down, and that's not going to help improve your game.
Now they're professionals; they can deal with it. I think what they really need is just more leaders. One or two guys isn't going to cut it, and I mean, especially going back to Howard's case, he's not around all the time. I mean, he's sitting on the bench watching the U.S. lose right now, so he's not even in Colorado.
Yeah, but even then, I don't know. There's so many problems with this team that we could literally sit here for the next 12 hours straight and still come up with new problems.
And that's what makes it difficult. I mean, I think there's definitely pieces to this roster that are really genuinely decent and talented and worth keeping, but there's a couple of pieces missing, and they are very important pieces that need to really fundamentally shift the way the team conducts itself. And that starts with the new coach, too. I think a lot hinges on whoever the front office chooses to hire for that position next year.
Well, and I see at the beginning of this season and this is partially due to a bunch of bad contracts, etc., that has caused this problem, but if they had been able to do something last offseason and bring in the pieces that were missing, you would have seen a team that was fighting at least for a playoff spot, if not a run into the playoffs. But they didn't do that, and teams figured us out, and we didn't start out hot, so all of a sudden heads are down, and that just really affected how this team worked. And so that makes this offseason even harder, because you're coming off of was going to be the worst season for the Rapids ever. And how do you sell that to people to bring them into this team?
Well, I don't think it's that hard, mostly due to the fact that whatever Pablo sold to Gashi and Howard to come here, whatever he sold to them in the position that we were in 2015 was even hard in itself. I think players will come to play for our team if they want to take that challenge. And me and Quinn were talking about it, but the Rapids have been asked by other people if they could coach for our team. So it's not a matter of why is this team so unappealing. There are some appealing aspects to the team that would drive someone to actually play for us.
Yeah, but I think it's appealing to a coach, not to a player. I think a coach is coming in, he could not do worse than we're doing, and he's about to get a significant budget to go buy some new players. That's great for an incoming coach or manager, versus a player. You're coming into a team that just went to the bottom of the table, and I think that's a harder sell than for a coach. Now
what they have as coach really does matter, because that does have appeal to players. I mean, part of the reason some players came here, for good or bad, was because of Pablo and because of, his playing days and the presence he has in the locker room and that kind of thing. So even a guy like that definitely had some draws to it. But it's kind of been interesting this year. I mean, this team is better than how they're playing this year, and the team last year was actually a lot better than they actually were in reality. I think everything's kind of regressing towards the mean someplace.
Mm-hmm.
I say we're not as bad as 2017, but we weren't as good as 2016. We're somewhere in between those two extremes.
Yeah, you went for it's almost like drugs. You had a high, really, really high, and then you came off of them, and all of a sudden, we're hitting that rock bottom and that pain from riding that high all last season, and I think next season we have a good shot at going after the playoffs. Whether they hire people in the offseason is important, but I think this team could have done better, a lot better this season, and that just didn't happen.
I think a lot of that does have to do with the coach, and now that Pablo's gone, I'd be really curious to see what a coach could have done with this team if they were here from day one of this season.
Which will definitely happen next season because the FO promised us a new coach as well as, a whole new different direction. And next year, the person who takes the helm of this club has every opportunity to every chance to hit the ball out of the park and actually, do something with this team. Other than that, if we bring in someone who fails to make the playoffs next year, what would you guys do? What would you expect from someone like that? Because next year we're in a prime position to be the best club that we could be.
My expectation isn't the playoffs. My expectation is to be fighting for the playoffs.
My expectation is the playoffs because that's the expectation that Poreg set for the club. So I think if they don't make it, they got the tools. They're going to have a coach that's on the actual same page as the technical director, which hasn't really happened. We've got some decent talent. They've got a big war chest to sign some guys that are actually going to make an impact. If they can't get it done next year, they're not going to be ready, and I think you just got to burn the whole thing to the ground.
I think they're burning the whole thing to the ground
tonight.
I think at the end of the season, they're going to burn most of this to the ground and be
They are. There's going to be a huge shift on the technical side of stuff. Poreg's going to beef up his staff quite a bit in the offseason. You're going to see a lot of support staff getting hired underneath him.
And that's what we need.
I'm more with Austin on the idea that we need to be fighting for a playoff spot at the minimum. Because you look at how it is this year where Eastern Conference and Western Conference, it's two completely different leagues, really. Some of the worst teams right now are in the Western Conference, and they have a playoff spot. Likewise, Eastern Conference is crazy strong this year, so
well, I think
a little bit of that to it as well.
The fact that the Western Conference has regressed, because it's always been the Western Conference was always better than the Eastern. The fact that we did so well last year in a conference with the best, and we couldn't come out of this league, out of this conference, after pretty much every Western team regressed.
Sorry to kind of go off topic here, but is there anything else we want to talk about with the LA game?
No, I think we should move on into the RSL away trip. We aren't going to discuss the game because we discussed it last podcast, but thought we would discuss what it's like to be on an away trip, and especially a rivalry away trip like RSL, where we're riding the bus and we're doing some really cool and exciting things. And all four of us rode the bus. I believe we were all on the same bus, actually.
Yep.
I'm going to actually send this over to Juan first and let him kind of go over his experience.
All right. So this is my first away trip, and regardless of the result, it was so much fun, man. Like, just being in a bus with people who you can connect with easily, who are, who you see at the games regularly, and then sitting with them in the 10-hour bus ride the bus ride could be a bit obnoxious, but it got bad. See, there's two sides of the bus when we were at. The side of the bus that we were
in the
at,
fun half.
We were in the fun half. The other half, not so much, but like regardless, I still connected with a lot of people on that bus and still had fun. Having fun, I can't say much, but having fun, just singing some songs, a lot of chants, a lot of inside jokes, some Rock Hard Weekend. Other than that,
we had FIFA on the bus, which was really cool.
Oh, some FIFA on the bus too. Even if our little shitty setup was so bad.
How many times did your PS4 lose power? Like 12?
Yeah, 12 times, man. That's only because of the faulty like bus line connection, little power strip they had. Or whatever. We won't get into it. And then also, I had Quinn as my roommate, which was awesome. The thing is, those hotels, that hotel that was booked, wasn't even 2 stars. It was probably 1 star at most. And
That's
even
by
then-
far the scuzziest hotel we've ever stayed in.
But does
Yeah, it
Quinn
was-
sleep topless? That's our big question.
I actually got to my like hotel room around like 4 a.m. and
What the hell were you doing?
just having some fun, man. Eating some Denny's. Denny's was open 24 hours. How could I not? How could I not take advantage of that?
So, Colin, it was your first bus trip and away trip as well?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So, what was your experience?
Well, for more details, you can also visit voice.c38sg.com and read my article, To Hell and Back Again, the 2017 Centennial 38 road trips. Shameless plug. I really loved the trip. I loved it. The game was heartbreaking, and
What game?
It was, good point.
I don't remember that game. It's already gone.
Yeah, there was some just spot in our memory that we just are all fading.
90 minutes snuff film.
Yeah. No, it was a tale of 2 halves. It was the bus and hanging out and all that, and then the actual game itself. So long as we don't deal with the game itself, it's hard to complain.
Oh, and then there's also 2 halves to the 2 parts of the game. There's the actual game going on, and then us, the supporters, actually cheering on that disgrace of a team. It was so hard to support, but at that point, we just gave up and just started singing whatever, man. And props to us, because we were louder than all of their 6 stupid supporters group put together.
Oh, yeah.
Don't they have... I think they have 3, actually.
They had 3 there, but they have a lot, actually. See, even 2 of their Latino supporters groups, they weren't there because they were watching the McGregor fight.
Well, and what
Yeah,
annoys
great
me with
supporters,
them
huh?
is that they like do the whole like loudspeaker when they score goals. That
Which is
like
dumb.
it's like you guys aren't even your fans aren't loud. It's literally your speaker system that I can hear. Like that's terrible.
We should blare Mountain Roads in a speaker system, and that'll actually be awesome. And then, yeah, other than that, the game was completely forgettable. At that point, when it was like 3-1, we all just stopped and started chanting, "Let's pretend we're winning."
Let's
And
pretend we're winning. Let's pretend we're winning.
see, that was perfect, because the Salt Lake people were looking at us, and they don't know how to react to people still having fun.
So here's
Even
my
s-
surprise was that they didn't do a tifo. We brought a tifo and they did nothing.
Yeah, and also when they were up 3-1, people started leaving. Like, how are you going to leave? Not even enjoy the cup raising? You just going to beat the traffic and forget about it? Oh, it was so annoying. Those supporters aren't supporters, which is why they're called fake Salt Lake. They never actually had a king visit their stadium, so you can't call them Real.
There was something I kind of noticed, and you guys feel free to call me out on this if you think I'm just totally wrong here.
You're probably wrong.
All right, then. It seemed
No.
like we had a very, like, Colorado is better than you attitude, whereas I felt like RSL's supporters was very much a you are below us. And I know that sounds weird, but it's just like this little mentality thing of building yourself up versus breaking someone else down. Does that make any sense?
Oh, it does. It's more of a positive outtake versus, trying to... It's insulting versus trying to cheer your own group on. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
saying
like,
we
how
didn't
many-
do a lot of insults, but
I don't know about you guys, but I chanted some pretty obscene shit. Okay, so I can't agree with the fact that we chanted positive stuff.
well, we chanted trying to get into the stadium for 45 minutes because the ticket system went down, so that was fun.
Oh yeah, that was awesome too.
Yep.
Like, and Quinn, this was your, I don't know how many trips. This was my second or third RSL, second bus trip. Quinn's been to like a bazillion.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my first rodeo, but it's always a good experience, particularly the larger ones. It's valuable for the group and the supporters culture in Colorado as well to do these as much as possible. That was a big reason why C38 deliberately set money aside at the beginning of the year for this trip to make sure it was going to happen, because it builds memories for the first timers, and usually that's the biggest thing that'll hook them. I mean, anybody can go to a home game, have fun, but then they go home after that. But on an away trip, when you're kind of in enemy territory or in the thick of it, I mean, it really builds an experience that sticks with you, and that's why these are so valuable.
I agree, man. Like you saying that makes perfect sense for me because it was my first time. So it definitely, rings true with me as well. It was such an amazing trip. Even like whatever, like fuck the result, it doesn't matter. Like we were there to be rowdy in a stadium that didn't like us. Everyone would turn and mock to us, but it was like at the end of the day, fuck it. We're not there to like. We're not there to just like, how do I say, like, we're not there to fucking be like sit in our hands and stuff. We're there to be rowdy, win, lose, or draw. Even in the parking lot at our tailgate, we were rowdy. We were rowdy going in, and we were rowdy throughout the whole 90.
So my first experience on a bus trip was a couple years ago. And we lost then as well, and it was an earlier game, so we went through downtown Salt Lake chanting at the top of our lungs for like 2 or 3 hours after the game. Which was a blast to do that, and it's hard to explain to people that haven't done it. And I've been to other stadiums for the Rapids, Portland, Orlando, and done that experience, but there's nothing like the bus experience. It's just nothing like it. It's an experience that you should try and do at least once, because it's so different. Like, you're hanging out with people all day long. It gets you just really hyped, no matter how your team's doing or what's going on or how dire the circumstances are. There's just a lot of energy on that bus and hanging out with soccer people, and it's the closest you get to what I consider other supporters' cultures, which is a great leadway into that. And I haven't done any of that kind of stuff outside of the Rapid supporters culture, but from what I've heard and know, like over in the EPL, they ride buses to a lot of games. Of course, the bus rides are really, really short comparatively, but you get to go have that experience a lot of the time, and so it's the closest you get to that experience. Now, Quinn, you could probably talk a little bit more to that, knowing more about that culture, and I believe you've done it. So, you want to give some mindset on the supporters culture outside of the MLS?
Well, I mean, there's definitely an away day culture, and it kind of helps to build the camaraderie among supporters for various clubs, and kind of for similar reasons that I outlined before. And I think that's what really sort of divides a supporter from a fan. A fan just casually follows the sport. They see people with flags and singing, and that just seems really fun and quaint to them and whatever. But for a supporter, it's really a lifestyle, a mentality, and a lot more things. I mean, you kind of live and breathe it, and the road trip experience is a good sample of that.
So have you done a bus trip over in another league with supporters before?
I have not. I've done train rides, which is also pretty common in Euro leagues, and that's an interesting experience. When I was in high school, I lived in Solihull, which is a suburb of Birmingham in England. And so I had the buddies I stayed with were Blue Noses, so we went on some away days, and those were a really fun experience.
And wait, before we continue, fuck you, Euro snobs. Our shortest away trip is your longest away trip. So that's all I have to say about that.
Unless you're Russia.
That's true.
Yeah, unless you're Russia, in which you have to. That Siberian team. Good luck. Good luck to them. Good luck to them.
Now, and you've watched supporters culture grow in the MLS compared to other countries. Obviously, we're a really, really young league for soccer. Are we learning anything from their experiences? Are we being hindered by security because of their experiences? What do you see from that mindset of us growing as a culture within the U.S.?
I think we're definitely drawing influence and becoming more sophisticated with the things they do. Like TIFO is a lot more evolved. You can just see like the kind of work that a lot of clubs are putting out. We're getting bigger. We're getting more organized. There's a lot more groups now. I mean, you just look at the lower leagues like NASL or even going down to the PDL, for example, and they've got full-blown supporters groups, and that would have been unheard of, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, it's growing a lot like that, and it's kind of weird. We definitely sort of a melting pot of a country, so you definitely get those different influences depending on what supporters group you're looking at. I mean, there's sort of the Latin American Hispanic influence in some groups and supporters ends, and you got the kind of more traditional English fare, then there's continental Europe, and also there's a little bit of that sort of college sports mentality and approach that's trickled in a little bit too. So it's kind of an unusual mix for sure, but it's definitely growing, and it's amazing how much has developed. I mean, back when I started this, it was a group of 10 guys just showed up at Rapids games and got drunk, and there were only really 2 or 3 supporters groups of note around the league, period.
So what was your first supporters group with the Rapids?
The one when I was actively involved, I came in 2002 when I was old enough to get a driver's license. The River Rats were kind of on life support, so I wasn't really involved in them in any capacity. And some guys started a supporters group called Centennial Firm, and so I joined up with them, and that gradually morphed into Pit Army and later C38.
See, I remember was it the Jolly Green Men?
Yeah, Jolly Green Men were the original group, and River Rats came shortly after, so we had 2 small groups for a while.
Yeah, I was a kid back when they were playing Mile High, and I went over there for a few games and hung out with them, and it was so much fun, and it was a small group with a brand new team in a brand new league, and it was still a blast to be over there, and we've definitely upped that game here, and I think that we continue to do that. And I really enjoy what we've created with C38, and I think we're on the forefront of what is supporters culture within the MLS. We might not be as big as Portland or Seattle or Orlando, but I think that we're doing things that a lot of them aren't, and we seem to be learning from their experiences and our own, as being an older team, having to fight through a lot of things that they didn't have to worry about because the MLS for a long time was anti-supporter.
And to speak on that as well, other people from around like the United States also give kudos to us because we're a since there's no actual light rail to the stadium, the bus routes that C38 runs are another big reason as to how we do different things, that we do things differently than other people. This guy from Iowa, he posted on the Rapids subreddit that their game day experience is done right, and every time they come here, they've always had a great time in Denver and in Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Everything from the communication, buses, and the tailgate is what he said made the experience amazing.
Oh,
regardless
our tailgate,
of game outs.
Nothing. As far as I've seen and heard about, there's nothing that compares to our tailgate across.
No,
the
we
league.
straight up have the best supporters tailgate in the league, bar none. There's nobody else that's remotely close.
Like, and I've been to Portland. I've been to their bars because they don't really have a tailgate. They go to different bars, and that's a cool experience. You're going to a bunch of bars that like all support them because they're like the only game in town. So every bar you walk into has Timber stuff up, and it's a cool experience. And then I've been to Orlando, which has a bunch of different smaller supporters groups that kind of make up their large supporters group, and they throw a bunch of little tailgates and stuff, and that's really cool. But nothing is organized as we are. Nothing runs loudspeakers. Nothing's running the food in general organized like we are. Plus a step above that with good food, and we added street tacos this year on a consistent basis, and microbrew beer at the tailgate, and now this year we added in cocktails made by Michael, and we're discussing bringing in wine and things like that. We're always trying to up our game for the pre-game experience, and maybe that's partially because the field, what the team puts on the field isn't always great, so that's really all we rely on. But I even think we do that within the stadium. Our TIFO has been on point. We won TIFO of the year a couple years ago. We've been honorable mentions a few times as far as I know, and I've always thought we've done a really good job. And Quinn, I know you're heavily involved with the TIFO crew. How long do you have to plan ahead to create some of these TIFOs?
Back when we first started doing bigger projects, it took a lot longer than it does now. I mean, the longest process now is just coming up with ideas, but we have the process down pretty good now that we can usually blast stuff out pretty fast. I mean, we did that Salt Lake away one for the trip. I think we blasted that out in basically one afternoon. Well, basically 2 afternoons, but it was very fast. But like the Keep Fighting one didn't take that long to do. Once we had the concept down, it was just kind of conveying it onto the fabric. But painting's quick. We have a good system. We know where to get all of our materials from. We have decent spaces to paint. I mean, that saves an enormous amount of time and really gives us the freedom to, kind of punch above our weight a lot of the time.
Now, do we have a couple more planned or one more planned through the end of the season?
There'll be at least one more this year. I think it just really depends on how the TIFO crew is feeling, but as we do every year, we'll always have one for the last home game of the season. So Salt Lake at home, we'll definitely have something for that. But, we might do something in between if we just kind of spur the moment, want to do something fun. But, like to keep people on their toes.
And kind of a almost shameless plug, there are discussions to create a TIFO for 108 that's more of a game day thing compared to or an every game thing versus a TIFO, because I know TIFOs are supposed to be retired after they're used. They're one and done type thing, but I know we're discussing possibly doing some cool stuff to kind of run over like similar to what we used to do with flags and stuff for 108 for goal scoring or entry of the team and that kind of thing. So if anybody is in 108 that's listening, wants to be involved with that, please reach out. We're looking for ideas. Quinn's willing to offer his knowledge, but we really want that to be a 108 pushed type thing where we're kind of just using the knowledge of those who do it in 117.
Well, and it's something organic that the 108 people can create and be proud of, and that they can say, we made that, we did it ourselves, it truly is ours. So that's kind of why we want 108 to, take the leadership role on that and do it. I mean, the TIFO crew will absolutely lend all of our expertise and materials and everything like that. But yeah, it definitely needs to be something driven by those guys in the section, because it's going to be a lot more meaningful that way.
And I've been doing most of the question asking here for supporters culture. Colin, Juan, do you guys have anything Like Quinn's really a huge knowledge base on the subject. Like you saw him. We watched like 4 movies about supporters culture on the trip in RSL.
No big green though.
No
yeah,
big
there
green.
wasn't any big green.
The big green.
Big green.
I know Boraz is in the chat. Fuck you, Boraz. You should have put big green. God damn it. Yeah, it's just I really like what we have going on, and all the chants we do are really fun. I like all the chants we do in 117. Especially the calm response Colorado. That is something organic from last year that seems to just carry on quite nicely to make Dick's loud. And I was talking to this with someone. If the fans are there, if there's a lot of people at Dick's, there's a lot of noise. You know, did any of you guys go to the USA and TNT game?
I did, yes.
Do you see how noisy it gets with the amount of people on there? It's a thing that like our supporters culture is amazing, but not only that, it also has a long way to go before we're filling out everyone, and that's more of the team's fault. I get that not everyone see a team in 10th place play, but the more we fill up that stadium, the more I feel we'll get closer to getting more supporters and people who actually want to jump around in 117, because there's plenty of people from outside of the sections that have looked to us as I want to be that, I want to be jumping around doing all the crazy stunts that C38 is doing.
I've actually got a question here for you, Juan. How did you get into the supporters culture?
All right, this is a weird story, but it was my freshman year in high school.
White van.
And yeah, I was forced. Anyways, my freshman year in high school, I was in marching band, and we were told we were gonna play at a Rapids game. So of course I was hyped because I've always loved soccer. And I was probably the only person in my band who knew a lot about the Rapids and stuff. They put us. It was against Seattle Sounders, all right, and they put us, the band, right next to the Seattle Sounders away support. All right, so that's already kind of hard, but I knew that from that moment that I wanted to be a supporter, because I wanted to fight those Seattle away fans. That's how I knew I wanted to be a supporter. So the Rapids go on to win 5-1 that day, and
amazing game.
And all I could think about is how much fun everyone was having in the terraces. And surely enough, I wouldn't get season tickets, but I'd be occasionally here and there at the games. Granted, I was a high school student, so getting money to go to the games is hard for me. Junior year, I eventually did get season tickets, and now I'm a capo, I guess. That's how it kind of happened throughout these 4 years. And the U.S. just scored. Oh my God!
Sorry to shit on your point. I just had to point that out.
I'm watching a stream right now. It's okay.
Yeah, we're barely managing to tie Honduras right now. It is 1-1 in the 85th minute.
Okay, well, I'll take it. Yeah, that's how I became a part of a C38, and gradually became a capo, which Quinn has been helping me a lot with, and as well as Paul. So I thank them for their much for all their guidance.
And I guess one of my biggest, I only in 117 for a couple halves a season, more so this season, because I usually sit in 108, but we have a very strong and loud Hispanic core. Like that, those guys are nuts, and like I love it. They're just so much. They're so high energy, and they sit in the middle of the section, and you can hear them just anywhere. I really, really enjoy the energy that they bring. Like, and I love what the Capos do, but those guys are just insane. They bring an experience that I didn't feel like we really I'd had experienced with in the past. It's just something that I hadn't experienced. It's just amazing. And I know Quinn, you obviously work with them a lot of the time, but how have that influenced compared to, say, the normal English background where you're more from? Like, is there a huge difference between those, or is it basically the same thing? Because in different parts of the world, there's got to be a huge difference there, right?
Yeah, there's a cultural difference between the kind of UK way of doing it versus the continental Europe way of doing it, which actually is kind of where I'm more inclined to lean. Yeah, and then the sports culture that comes out of Central America and South America is also very different too. But I love the Mile High Locos guys. They're awesome. They bring a real fresh energy to the section that sometimes is really, really needed, particularly when the team is not playing too well. I think a lot of sort of English style and actually American sports fans in general tend to get a little too quiet when the team's not doing well. So I like the fact that they're always loud and they're always doing something regardless of, how the team's playing.
Shout out to Oso Pineda. I love that man.
Yeah, Oso. And Miguel. Miguel's awesome.
Unless you guys have some other questions, do we have any questions from chat or Twitter, Colin? I know you'd brought up a couple beforehand.
I don't know. Mostly I've been talking about the national team game right now.
Yeah, we don't want to worry about that. We want
I do
to
want
worry
to
about
say,
our
though,
disappointment.
I'm really glad that whoever came up with the idea of bringing the high school bands to the Rapids games, that died on the vine after about a year and a half. Even though that's how we got Juan. But God, that shit drove me nuts.
I played bass drum though, and my teacher was adamant about never playing when the ball was in play because he's so well. We play at football games, and if you play when the ball's in play, you lose points, which is kind of bullshit. But every time the ball would be on the field, he'd be like, "No playing." So we pretty much didn't play anything.
Well, that's good, I guess.
I don't even know if that helps with anything.
You'll never win over Quinn with that argument.
Yeah, not my band.
Oh, man. That's why you're only number one.
And there is no number two. I love the fact that we're all laughing at this because we get the joke, and so many people who are going to listen to this would be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
RHW.
We're not trying to make friends with salad right now, okay?
You can't win friends with salad. You can't win friends with salad.
That's why you need to come on more road trips for everybody that's listening. If you haven't been on one, you're failing really hard.
Missing out.
All right. Well, I guess we can move on to the pregame. We're looking at Houston this weekend on Saturday at 6:30, so not a late game. Tired of those.
Thank God. I hate nights. I got home around 11. All right. I hate getting home around 11.
It's just terrible, those late games. I hate them.
Especially
Juan has a
Rapid
firm
lose.
bedtime of 10 o'clock.
Just past his curfew.
It's past my curfew. I mean, I'm usually in bed, primed in a napping position at 9 p.m. Mostly thanks to the Rapids and their boring play. But 9 p.m.
It should have made you fall asleep quick then.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, 6:30, right?
Yep, 6:30. So we're looking at Houston, who hasn't lost at home yet, only has 3 ties, and obviously we have 1 point on the road, and
No, we have 2 points on the
Do we
road.
have 2 points? Yeah, we have 2 points on the road.
Yeah, we got 2 points.
That's right. We have 2 points on our. My bad. I forgot
more
about the other
point.
tie.
One more point, it's pretty much a win. So I don't know why people are complaining.
It's going to be rough to walk in there. especially after this many losses in a row, and just getting pummeled by the second to last worst team in the league.
Well, Houston may be playing with a fire under their ass too because of all like the hurricane stuff, so they might be extra motivated to get 3 points for that game. So, I'm not super optimistic. Not that I would have been to begin with.
We're those dicks. We're the Rapids. We are the Flood. Fuck you, Houston.
What I would like to see is Eigner
start.
start. I want to see Eigner start. I want to see him.
Yeah, I'd like to see Eigner and Gashi start on the wings opposite of each other. I would really like to see that happen.
I'm with you on that.
Who would you put in the middle?
Probably Gil. I think he'd be the only person.
No one. You play 4-4-2, the things that we're good at. You put Saeed and Nazira, and then up top you put Dominic Badgie and Doyle together.
Yeah, if you're doing a 4-4-2, that's probably the way you're going to do it.
I'm done with the 4-4-3-3. It doesn't work with our squad. We have no number 10. So, I don't know. That's what I want to see. I want to see 4 in Houston.
Well, you either need number 10 or you need like a super mobile target forward, and we don't have either of those things.
Yeah, we do. We loaned him out, though.
Lol.
I didn't know Juan Ramirez was coming back. Oh, man. How do we actually go in and win this game? A serious question. I have no idea how we're going to walk into a place that's that motivated, has been good at home, and been this terrible on the road after this many losses. Like, how would you actually turn around this team?
Turn around this team, or just specifically this game? Because there's two different answers.
No, this game, because that'll lead to this team for the rest of the season. But
for this game specifically, I think Houston is attacking threat. We literally do what we did against SKC. Go grind for a goal and then just sit back the rest of the game. Like, if we do that and we come out of Houston with at least, a point, 3 points, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with parking the bus in this next game. That's what I'm saying.
I want to see us push what we did for the first half in RSL. I want to see that, like, they were playing with energy. They were playing very offensive soccer. Like, we were doing pretty well until that goal, and then our heads went down.
Yeah, there was definitely a certain intensity to the way they were playing in that game, and it would be nice to recreate that.
Because I think if they played that 90 minutes at RSL, we would have come out with points. If they'd played that way all season, we'd be fighting for a playoff spot.
But at the same time, that intensity, that intense playing, led us to such an embarrassing result. And I think if we play a defense the way we do know how to play defense, and just freaking Pablo ball it up, we could come out with a result. But that's just what I want to see from this team is stop losing by so many goals. It sucks. It sucks when it's like 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0, and you're just like, oh man, this sucks. It sucks to be a Rapids fan.
Well, you just know that after the first goal, and you can tell with the team feels the same way on the field. That first goal, if they get it, like the chances of us coming back are almost zero. It's just very unlikely. We push too far forward trying to score because we are not a team that scores a lot of goals. Even when we're shooting, we're not scoring a lot of goals. So we need to get the first goal. And that's why I say we need to go attack minding and if we get that first goal, maybe you start sitting back a little bit more and trying to keep that. But even then, our defense hasn't been all that great this season, no matter what the formation was.
I think we definitely need to get away from this 4-3-3 lineup because it has resulted in some disastrous games on our defense. Put us
Without
into a
having those
4-4-2.
two kind of withdrawn midfielders, it really does expose how slow our back line is, with the exception of Hairston if you play him out on the right. But that was the one thing that stuck out with me at the Salt Lake game and also the LA game. It just always seems like they run, pass, and think a step slower than everybody else. And when you're in that situation, I feel like you need to play more withdrawn, more compact, and more disciplined. I mean, it'd be nice to see them experiment, but I guess you're kind of weighing, are you trying to figure out what you're going to do with the team next year, or are you just trying to scoop up as many points as possible with the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
See, and we've talked about it a few times on the cast. My biggest issue with the mindset of testing out players for next season is that we've literally seen our bench all season.
Yeah, in that last game, our full squad was, it's literally like pick two players. Okay, they're not in the 18. Our 18 on Los Angeles was our whole squad depth, which was really sad to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we've only seen Nana and Gashi play together for maybe a whopping total of 400 minutes across an entire season.
Yeah, I would like to see Nana get more minutes because I feel like I need to see him play more for him to justify what he's getting paid right now. He is egregiously overpaid right now, I feel.
Yes,
A lot of
also
players
agree.
are. A lot of players are. Especially Kevin Doyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Doyle's overpaid, but he's either going to take a substantial pay cut next year or he's not coming back.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty evident.
For the game, is there any official pub, tavern, that bar that C38 is going? Because I mostly just go to the Bulldog.
Station 26, I thought? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we're looking at Station 26. It hasn't been confirmed yet by them, but I'd say it's about 80 to 90% going to be that. But we'll get something pushed out on social media once we have full confirmation.
Well,
Awesome.
and I'll probably be out at the Spruce. It's closer to home. But I'm just glad for an early game that I can actually go out for, because the games that are that late, I'm just I'll just watch at home. It's with how it's too hard for me to go out and then drive a half an hour home because I can't go to the Spruce because they close at 10.
Ever since the Salt Lake game, I hate losing alone at home because no one in my family watches Pids, so it's usually just me alone staring at a scoreline that leaves me sad.
Saving your
You need to
tears in the jar.
sacrifice, start drinking while you watch them lose.
I mean,
Hey, we don't condone underage drinking.
I was gonna say if there was some available, that'd be really nice, but I can't just go to the local liquor store and be like, I need my fix right now.
He goes and gets his ice cream by the court. Just
I wish that'd be something, but that's nothing. So
Eating pints
so
of ice cream, watching a sad tearjerker on Lifetime.
yeah, but even then, that's not enough. So now I just lose with other people because it's much more entertaining to see other people have the same feeling I have when they lose.
Misery loves company.
Oh God, I think I'm a sadist. Fuck. Do we still do 3 points on the cast?
We've switched it
Kind of,
over to just
sort
kind
of,
of
not
discussing score line, because basically
Alright.
we repeat each other when we do 3 points. So chat, this is your chance to think of your score line and post it, and we're gonna start with Juan because he brought it up.
Okay. So, the optimistic me, I'm always gonna predict this 3-0 Gashi hat trick. All right, that's just a staple if you know me. But if I'm actually gonna go with an actual prediction, I think it's gonna be 1-0 to Houston.
Quinn, your other guest.
Well, I'm going to be optimistic and say we will score a goal, but I don't think it's going to be enough and we'll lose 3-1.
Not again. Fuck.
All right, Colin.
I want to see 4-4-2. I want to see Nana, Gashi, and Eigner all in the starting 11. And I still think we're going to lose 2-0.
Still think we're going to lose till now. Okay.
I thought you were going to say I want to see 4-4.
I want to see a 1-10. I'm going to try and be optimistic as I always try to be going into a game. And I'm going to say 2-1. I don't think we're going to hold a shutout, but I think we can win. I think that there's an opportunity that they way underestimate us. And maybe Eigner's that missing piece, and he gets to start, and all of a sudden you see a team that can actually put the ball into the net and distribute a little bit forward. So that's my hope. Outside of that, Juan, where can people find you on social media as a guest? We like to try and support you guys.
You can find me on at WandersHD and on my YouTube channel, WandersHD for FIFA content.
And Quinn, I don't notice you on Twitter, so.
I don't tweet or
lurks.
Snapchat or
He
Instagram.
lurks.
Facebook is the only thing I really do. I try to keep my sanity.
You can find Quinn topless at the next home game.
Yes, you can find me topless at the next home game.
We're thinking of adding a pole to that capo stand just for some entertainment on the field.
You couldn't afford me, sweetheart.
Pretty high expense, man. But I'm learning from him, and I'm not that expensive, so it's okay.
Colin, social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at the Ace Arbiter, and I'm also on Facebook, but no one cares about that anymore.
Nobody cares
What's
about
that?
Only
Twitter's
old people
the
care
future.
about that. And I am the Drunken Monk. You can find me Drunken Monk _ C38 on Twitter, twitch.tv/Drunken Monk C38, no underscore. That's where we stream these casts on Tuesdays, usually at 4:30. Go to our website at voice.c38sg.com, where you can find Colin's articles, our pre-games, our interviews, all of that fun stuff. We do have a Discord. You can find that.
We do?
On our Twitter, where we post it on our Twitter because we don't have a cool / anything. Follow us at Facebook, the Voice of C38 there, and our YouTube. Just search for Centennial 38. It's another long, obnoxious thing that I'm not really going to read out. So I would love for you guys to follow us. Would love for you guys to continue to support us. Be a supporter. Continue to support the team. We can bitch, we can moan, we can scream, be loud, even be negative, but be there. Is my only request. Just be there.
Cry with us.
That's to me what a supporter is. It doesn't matter how the team's doing. You're there. You can be as negative as you want, but be there.
Fuck yeah.